I got an email from a girl who said that she went on a class trip with her friends and they think they were tormented by a flesh pedestrian. Tonight's submitter did not tell me whether I could use her real name or not, so I am going to call her Allison. This happened almost 2 years ago. Allison was a senior in high school and this was their last day in high school. At her school, it was tradition to do a prank the Sunday following her last day of school. Well, it became tradition for the class to spend the night in tents that night. Everything was going good and they were all having fun until the majority of the class left because they didn't want to stay the night. Abby believes that there was only about 7 of them left at that point and it was about after midnight. They were all playing Cards Against Humanity in a huge tent when they all began hearing strange noises. At first they thought it could have been a fox, but it didn't sound right. It's important to keep in mind that her high school was in the middle of nowhere and so it was a very rural area, so they all knew animal sounds very well. Anyway, this fox sounded like it was mixed with a coyote and it just didn't sound right and it was rubbing all of them the wrong way. Well, they just decided to carry on and ignore this noise until one of the students went outside to blow his nose outside of the tent. Well, he comes back running in, visibly upset, and they all ask him, like, what's going on? And he said, there's something out there. At this point, they kind of think that he's messing with them since he knew that they were all freaked out, but he did seem genuinely shocked. He explains that he saw a shadowy figure run very close to where they were and it did not look like an animal. They were like, okay, maybe it's one of our classmates messing with us, and he was like, no way, this thing was way too fast to be human. So now they're even more freaked out, but Abby, knowing a lot about the paranormal and supernatural things, just told them to pretend like they're not freaked out and just to act normal because she didn't want to feed whatever this thing was their fear. She felt like this would make it worse. Well, they continued minding their business, but then the noises started to change. It went from what could have passed as a fox or a coyote to sounding like a very deep human-like growl. The growl sounded like it was very far away, but also like it was very close to their tent all at the same time. This started to scare them and they couldn't ignore it anymore, when suddenly all the noises just stopped. No bugs, no growling, no cars, nothing. Silence. Then one of their classmates see a shadow figure outside of the tent and it's huge. And the shadow figure was very disturbing looking. It was almost 10 feet tall. It had a top hat on. It had a body of like a man mixed with a wolf with like a huge head. And this is when they decided that they were not going to stay the night anymore. They started texting classmates that were at a nearby park and they asked them to come walk them to their cars so that they would have some light to walk to their cars, because apparently they didn't have lights. But while they're trying to get a hold of them, everything just gets worse and the tent starts shaking like crazy. When they checked outside, nothing was there. No wind, no shadows, no life. The growling then comes back louder than before. It sounds like it's right outside the tent. Classmate then pulls up in a car and everything just stops. No shadows, no noise, no tent shaking. At this point, they're like, something is messing with us. Something is toying with us at this point. So they all grab all the stuff that they can grab and they just start running. So they all get back to their cars and everybody goes home, except for her and one other person, because they were the ones that brought the tents. So they decided they were just going to drive around the tiny town until the sun came up, and then they were going to go back and get their tents, and then they were going to go home. As they're driving, they start to notice some weird things. First, a dog started following the truck. Then the dog literally vanishes in front of their eyes. Then another dog appears out of nowhere next to the driver's side door. This dog was trying to attack the driver's side door. Now they were driving at about 35 miles per hour. So as you can imagine, this would be hard for a normal dog to keep up with that pace, especially when trying to get in through the driver's side door. And then that dog just vanishes out of thin air too. Now they're trying to avoid going near the school because every time they get close to it, they both get this same eerie stomach churning feeling. Then a deer runs right out in front of them, which is not uncommon by any means in the area that they were in, but there was something severely wrong with this deer. Deer looked like a mangled deer carcass that got struck by a car almost. Its legs were going in the wrong direction and its face was just off. Abby said that it almost looked like it had humanoid looking features. At this point, they decide it's time to go home. The further they get away from the school, the less sick they are feeling and the less weird things they are seeing. They get a couple of miles away from the school and they see a fox sitting in a nearby field, and at this point she has a rush of relief wash over her. She literally got goosebumps. Then she looks over at her friend who looked like he was more at peace too, and she asks him, did you feel that too? And Abby says she thinks that it took everything in him not to slam on the brakes because he was shocked. He had felt it too. They were finally safe, and she's not sure why that fox affected them so much, but she did know that as soon as she saw the fox that she knew they were okay. She had actually never seen a fox before that night, and every time she thinks back on this story, she can't help but wonder what was happening to them that night. They're not in an area where it's common to hear stories about seeing flesh pedestrians. They're in southern in Michigan. She still doesn't know what that thing was, but she knows one thing. It was pure evil, and she knows that wholeheartedly. She still cannot go back to that school at night to this day. What do you guys think about this story? I did do a little digging to find out what foxes represent in Navajo culture. And in Navajo tradition, for example, foxes are viewed as good animals and represent material goods. The funny thing is seeing a fox can have a symbolic meaning of trickery and intelligence and can often be seen as a bad omen. It makes me wonder why, after they saw that fox, why they felt at peace. So does anyone want to jump in here and tell me why maybe they thought that or they felt that? Also, what do you think that shadow thing outside of their tent was, and what do you think those dogs symbolized? That is what I want to know. Oh, and let's not forget about the deer, because that sounds like a flash pedestrian to me, at least from the stories that I have heard and read. Drop all your thoughts and opinions in the comments, because we will both love to know the answers to these questions and to just your thoughts and opinions on this story in general. I do want to say something. I know that I did tell this on my TT today, but I have to do this every once in a while because it's starting to wear me down telling a story every night on TT and then every other night on YouTube, because I am also a full-time content creator for another page on TT, and that's how I make my living, and I owe several videos a day on that account, so I don't have time for my family right now, so I need to make time for them. So I hope that you guys understand that every once in a while I will have to post a video that I've already posted on my TT here. I want to make sure that I give you guys content, at least for those people who only watch my YouTube, so I really hope that you understand that. But with that being said, I'm now going to do my favorite part, which is the shoutouts. VSLOQKX4429. I hope I got that right. You left a really sweet comment, and I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much for that comment. It really means everything to me that you watch my channel and that you love my stories. So thank you so much for that. And I hope that you continue to watch. Thank you for being a part of my little community. Thank you for commenting and pushing my videos out. It means everything to me, and I just love you. Thank you. Matt Gallego 6110. Thank you so much for your comment. You said that it was the best way to end your night to watch my videos, and that means everything to me. Thank you so much. That was so sweet. I appreciate you watching my content and loving my videos. I appreciate you being a part of this little community as well, and I appreciate you being kind. It means everything to me, so thank you so much. I love you. And with that being said, my name is Kaisa, and I tell true scary stories on here every other night that you guys submit to me or recommend to me. So if you're into that, hit that subscribe button so that you can get notified next time I tell a true scary story. And with that being said, I just need you to do 3 things for me. And what are those? Keep sending me your scary stories and your recommendations. Have a safe night. And what's the third one? Say it with me. Have a spooky night. Love you guys so much. See you in the next one. Spooky kisses and haunted hugs.